Willow Montgomery had never believed in love at first sight until she watched a poor single father shovel snow for his elderly neighbor at 5 in the morning, his breath forming clouds in the freezing air, while his young daughter handed him hot chocolate from their thermos. She had been standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her penthouse suite, unable to sleep after another failed business negotiation, when she noticed the small house across from the community park below. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, working methodically through the heavy snowfall that had blanketed the city overnight. What struck her most was not his physical presence, but the care he took, clearing every inch of the walkway, the driveway, even the path to the elderly woman's mailbox. Willow pressed her hand against the cold glass, watching as the little girl, who could not have been more than 7 years old, jumped excitedly in the snow while her father worked. When he finished, the elderly woman appeared at her door, and Willow could see even from her distant vantage point the warmth of their exchange. The woman tried to hand him something, probably money, but he shook his head firmly, ruffled his daughter's hair, and they walked back toward their modest house carrying their empty thermos. That image stayed with Willow throughout her morning meetings, her conference calls, her review of quarterly reports. She had built Montgomery Enterprises from the ground up after inheriting a failing company from her late father, transforming it into a billion-dollar corporation. She had dated men who drove expensive cars, wore designer suits, and spoke about profit margins over champagne. None of them had ever made her feel the way that simple scene had made her feel, like she was witnessing something real, something pure, something that mattered more than any boardroom victory. 3 days later, another snowstorm hit the city. Willow found herself waking early, positioning herself by the windows with her coffee, waiting. Sure enough, as dawn broke, she saw him emerge from his house again, this time with his daughter bundled in a pink winter coat. They went to the same elderly neighbor's house, and again he cleared every inch of snow with patient determination. This time, Willow made a decision. She threw on jeans, a warm sweater, boots, and a practical jacket, things she rarely wore anymore. Her assistant would have been shocked to see her dressed so casually. Within 20 minutes, she was walking through the neighborhood, her heart pounding with a nervousness she had not felt since she was a teenager. She approached, just as he was finishing the driveway. Up close, he was even more impressive. He had dark hair that curled slightly at the edges under his knit cap, strong features marked by the kind of weathering that came from hard work and harder times, and warm brown eyes that crinkled when he smiled down at his daughter. "That's really kind of you," Willow said, her voice sounding strange to her own ears. She was used to commanding boardrooms, not making small talk with strangers. He looked up, surprised, and she saw wariness flash across his face before politeness took over. "Just being neighborly," he said simply. "Daddy shovels for Mrs. Peterson every time it snows," the little girl announced proudly. "She's 83 and her bones hurt." "Emma," he said gently, but there was affection in his warning tone. "That's wonderful," Willow said, crouching down to the girl's level. "I'm Willow, what's your name?" "Emma Catherine Cooper," the girl said formally. "I'm 7 3/4. This is my dad, Marcus Cooper." Marcus Cooper, the name suited him. Willow stood, extending her hand. His handshake was firm, his hands rough with calluses. Working hands. Real hands. "Do you live around here?" Marcus asked, his tone carefully neutral. "I have a place nearby," Willow said vaguely, not wanting to mention the penthouse that probably cost more than every house on this block combined. "I saw you helping your neighbor, and I thought it was really admirable." Something shifted in Marcus's expression, a defensiveness that made Willow realize her words might have sounded condescending. "Mrs. Peterson helped us out when we first moved here. She watched Emma when I was working doubles." "It's the least I can do." "I didn't mean anything by it," Willow said quickly. "I just meant it's rare to see people genuinely caring for their neighbors anymore." Marcus studied her for a moment, then his expression softened slightly. "Yeah, well, community matters, Mrs." Peterson emerged from her house then, moving slowly with her walker. "Marcus, dear, you're an angel. Oh, and who's your friend?" "This is Willow," Emma supplied helpfully. "She thinks Daddy is admirable." Willow felt her cheeks flush, which was ridiculous. She negotiated multi-million-dollar deals without breaking a sweat, but a 7-year-old's innocent comment made her blush. "Well, he is," Mrs. Peterson said warmly. "Marcus, please take this. Buy Emma something nice." She pressed some bills into his hand. "Mrs. Peterson, you know I cannot accept this," Marcus said firmly but kindly. "Then consider it a late Christmas gift for Emma," the elderly woman insisted. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you, but next time I'm not taking anything." "We'll see about that, Mrs. Peterson said with a twinkle in her eye. She looked at Willow with open curiosity. "Are you new to the neighborhood, dear?" "Just visiting," Willow said, which was not exactly a lie. After a few more pleasantries, Marcus and Emma headed home. Willow watched them go, noting the way Marcus held his daughter's hand, the way they leaned into each other as they walked. There was something about the picture they made that tugged at something deep in her chest. Over the next 2 weeks, Willow found excuses to be in that neighborhood. She told herself she was scouting locations for a community center Montgomery Enterprises was considering funding. She told herself she was just getting some fresh air, away from the sterile confines of her office. But the truth was, she was hoping to see Marcus again. She learned his routine. He left early for work each morning, dropping Emma at school on the way. He worked construction, she discovered from casual conversations with other neighbors. He came home tired but always had a smile for Emma. He helped anyone who needed it, fixing Mrs. Peterson's leaking faucet, helping another neighbor carry groceries, clearing snow without being asked. Willow started volunteering at Emma's school library, something she had never done before. She showed up for the call for volunteers one afternoon and was assigned to the Thursday afternoon reading program. It was there, surrounded by children and books, that Emma spotted her. "Miss Willow," Emma ran over, her face bright with excitement. "Do you work here now?" "I'm volunteering," Willow explained. "I'll be helping with reading time." "That's so cool. Wait until I tell Daddy. He loves that I love reading." The week crawled by until Thursday. Willow found herself actually nervous, checking her reflection multiple times, choosing a soft blue sweater that Emma had complimented the last time they met. When Marcus arrived to pick up Emma, his surprise at seeing Willow was evident. "Miss Montgomery," he said, and she noticed he had learned her last name. "Emma told me you were volunteering. That's really generous of you." "I wanted to give back," Willow said, which was true, even if her motivations were more complicated than that. "Daddy, can Miss Willow come for hot chocolate?" Emma asked, bouncing excitedly. "Please. She helped me find 3 new books and she did all the voices when she read to us." Marcus looked uncomfortable. "Emma, Miss Montgomery is probably busy." "Actually, I'd love to," Willow said before she could second-guess herself. Marcus's expression flickered between surprise and something else, something guarded. "Okay, but just so you know, it's just the diner down the street, nothing fancy." "Fancy is overrated," Willow said, meaning it more than he could know. The diner was warm and cheerful, with cracked vinyl booths and a menu that offered comfort food at reasonable prices. Emma chatted happily about her day while Marcus listened with patient attention, occasionally catching Willow's eye with a small smile that made her heart skip. "So what do you do, Miss Montgomery?" Marcus asked eventually, his tone polite but curious. "Please, just Willow." "And I work in business management," she said vaguely. "Nothing as useful as what you do. Emma tells me you build things." "Construction work," Marcus said. "Mostly commercial buildings right now. It's good, steady work." There was pride in his voice, despite the implied challenges. "Daddy used to be an architect," Emma announced. "He designed really cool buildings." Willow saw Marcus stiffen slightly, a shadow crossing his face. "That was a long time ago, sweetheart." "What changed?" Willow asked gently. Marcus was quiet for a moment, his hand wrapped around his coffee mug. "Life," Emma's mom passed away when Emma was 2. I was working at a firm, long hours, lots of stress. I realized I needed to be there for Emma more. Construction pays well enough and the hours are more predictable. I can be a present father. Willow felt something crack open in her chest. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. It was hard, but we have each other. He looked at Emma with such love that Willow had to look away, blinking back unexpected tears. They talked for another hour, the conversation flowing more easily than Willow expected. Marcus had a dry sense of humor and a thoughtful way of listening that made her feel truly heard. Emma was bright and funny, clearly well-loved and well-adjusted despite her loss. When they finally left the diner, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Marcus walked Willow to her car, Emma skipping ahead. Thank you for the hot chocolate, Willow said. I had a really nice time. Thank you for volunteering at Emma's school. She hasn't stopped talking about you all week, Marcus said. He hesitated, then added, it was nice. Talking to another adult, sometimes I forget how to do that. I'd like to do it again, Willow said. If you would. Marcus studied her face, his expression uncertain. I'm going to be straight with you, Willow. I don't know what you're doing here. You're clearly out of my league. I'm a single dad working construction, living paycheck to paycheck most months. I can't offer fancy dinners or expensive dates, and Emma is my priority always. I know that, Willow said softly. That's actually what I admire most about you. I don't understand, Marcus said, frustration creeping into his voice. What do you want from me? Willow took a breath. Honestly, I don't know yet, but watching you shovel your neighbor's snow, seeing how you are with Emma, talking to you today. I haven't felt this interested in someone in years, maybe ever. I'd just like the chance to get to know you better. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Emma called to him from near the car, asking if they could stop for groceries. I need to think about it, Marcus finally said. Not just about me, but about Emma. I can't bring someone into her life unless I'm sure. I understand, Willow said, and she did. The fact that he put his daughter first only made her respect him more. Over the next week, Willow threw herself into her work, trying to give Marcus space. But she could not stop thinking about him, about the quiet strength in his voice, the gentleness in his eyes when he looked at his daughter. She had built an empire, had everything money could buy, but she could not remember the last time she had felt truly connected to someone. On Thursday, she returned to the school library as scheduled. Emma was there, and when Marcus came to pick her up, he lingered. Are you free Saturday afternoon? He asked. Emma and I usually go to the park if the weather's decent. Maybe you'd like to join us. Willow felt her face break into a genuine smile. I'd love that. Saturday was cold but clear, the kind of winter day where the sun was bright even if it provided little warmth. Willow met them at the park, dressed in jeans and a warm jacket, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Marcus did a double take when he saw her. What? Willow asked, suddenly self-conscious. Nothing. You just look different, more relaxed, he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. They spent the afternoon watching Emma play, pushing her on the swings, building a lopsided snowman. Willow could not remember the last time she had laughed so freely, without calculation or social positioning. With Marcus, she could just be herself. As Emma ran to the slide, Marcus turned to Willow. I did some research on you this week. Willow's stomach dropped. Oh, Willow Montgomery. CEO of Montgomery Enterprises. Estimated net worth north of $2 billion. Featured in Forbes, Business Weekly, half a dozen other publications. His voice was carefully neutral. Marcus, I can explain. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, not angry, just confused. Because when people know, everything changes. They see the money, not me. And with you, for the first time in forever, someone was just seeing me. Willow's voice cracked slightly. Marcus was quiet, watching Emma. My late wife, Jennifer, she came from money. Not like you, but her family was comfortable. When we got married, her parents made it clear I wasn't good enough. I was just some kid from a working-class family who liked to draw buildings. When I actually succeeded, became a junior architect at a prestigious firm, they still looked down on me. After she died, they tried to take Emma, said I couldn't provide the life she deserved. "What happened?" Willow asked, her hand instinctively reaching for his. I fought them. It took almost 2 years and every penny I had saved, but I won custody. But I learned that money and class can make people cruel. It can make them think they're better than others, that they have the right to judge. He looked at her directly. "I need to know that's not who you are." "It's not," Willow said firmly. "My father was a good man who built his business on integrity. When he died, I inherited a mess. I spent 10 years turning it around, working 18-hour days, sacrificing everything. I have money now, yes, but I've also never felt more isolated. People want things from me, access, connections, opportunities. No one just wants to know Willow." "I want to know Willow," Marcus said softly. They sat on the cold park bench, watching Emma play, and Willow told him about her life. About the loneliness of success, the pressure of running a corporation, the emptiness of her penthouse with its beautiful views and no one to share them with. Marcus listened without judgment, his presence steady and grounding. "My turn," Marcus said when she finished. "I need to tell you about Jennifer." He spoke about meeting his wife in college, falling in love, getting married young, how they had been happy despite his struggles to establish himself, how Emma's birth had been the best day of their lives. And how, when Emma was 2, Jennifer had been diagnosed with aggressive cancer. 6 months later, she was gone. "I fell apart for a while," Marcus admitted. "If it wasn't for Emma, I don't know what I would have done. She needed me, so I got up every day. I quit the architecture firm because the hours were destroying me and I was never home. I started doing construction work. It paid less, but I could be there for bedtime, for sick days, for all the moments that matter." "You're an amazing father," Willow said. "I try. Emma deserves the world. I might not be able to give her everything, but I can give her love and stability and presence." He looked at Willow seriously. "If you and I are going to explore whatever this is, you need to understand that Emma comes first. Always. I won't introduce someone into her life who's going to leave." "I understand," Willow said. "And I respect that. I'm not going anywhere, Marcus." They started seeing each other regularly after that. Marcus would bring Emma to have lunch with Willow on weekends. They would visit museums, go ice skating, have simple dinners at Marcus's house, where Willow learned to cook with a 7-year-old helper who thought the CEO of a billion-dollar company, not knowing how to make spaghetti, was hilarious. Willow met Mrs. Peterson properly, having tea in her warm kitchen while Emma did homework at the table. The elderly woman studied Willow with sharp eyes. "You're the billionaire from the news," Mrs. Peterson said bluntly. "Yes, madam," Willow admitted. "Does Marcus know?" "He does." "And you're not just slumming it, playing at normal life until you get bored?" Willow set down her teacup carefully. "Mrs. Peterson, I have everything money can buy. What I don't have is someone who sees me as a person first. Marcus does that. So does Emma. Being with them is the most real I've felt in years. I'm not going anywhere." Mrs. Peterson studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Good, because those two have been through enough. They don't need more heartbreak." "I agree," Willow said firmly. As weeks turned into months, Willow found herself falling deeper. Marcus was everything the men she usually dated were not. He was genuine, hardworking, devoted. He remembered small details, like how she took her coffee or that she loved old mystery novels. He listened when she talked about work stress, offering perspective without trying to fix everything. He made her laugh with his dry humor and touched her with his thoughtful gestures. For Valentine's Day, when Willow half expected an awkward attempt at something romantic, Marcus surprised her. He could not afford an expensive restaurant, but he transformed his small backyard into a winter wonderland. String lights hung between trees, a fire pit blazed warmth, and he had set up a table with a home-cooked meal. "Emma helped plan it," Marcus admitted. "She's at Mrs. Peterson's for a sleepover. I wanted to do something special just for us." The meal was simple but delicious. Marcus had made chicken parmesan, garlic bread, a salad. For dessert, there was chocolate cake that Emma had helped bake, slightly lopsided but perfect. "This is the most thoughtful date anyone's ever planned for me," Willow said honestly. "I know I can't compete with what you're probably used to," Marcus started, but Willow cut him off. "Stop. Please. The point is that you care, that you put thought into this. That matters more than any expensive restaurant." She reached across the table for his hand. "Marcus, I need you to understand something. My money is just money. It doesn't define me and it shouldn't define us." "I know. I'm still getting used to it, to be honest. Sometimes I see something about you in the news, about some huge business deal, and I think about how different our worlds are." "Our worlds don't have to be different," Willow said. "I want to be in your world, Marcus. I love spending Saturday mornings making pancakes with Emma. I love helping her with her homework. I love just sitting on your couch watching movies. I don't need fancy things. I need real things." Marcus stood and came around the table, pulling her up into his arms. "Willow Montgomery, you are the most unexpected thing that's ever happened to me." "Good unexpected or bad unexpected?" she asked, her heart racing. "The best unexpected," he said, and kissed her. It was their first real kiss, and it was everything Willow had not known she was missing. It was tender and passionate, careful and sure all at once. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I'm falling in love with you," Marcus said quietly. "I've been fighting it because it scares me, but I can't fight it anymore." "I'm already in love with you," Willow admitted. "I have been since I watched you shovel Mrs. Peterson's driveway at 5 in the morning. They spent the rest of the evening by the fire, talking and kissing and planning. Marcus was clear that while he was falling in love, he needed to move slowly for Emma's sake. Willow understood and agreed. They decided to have a family conversation with Emma to make sure she was comfortable with their relationship becoming more serious. The conversation happened the next week. Emma sat between them on the couch, looking between them with curious eyes. "Emma, sweetheart, Willow and I want to talk to you about something important," Marcus started. "Are you dating?" Emma asked matter-of-factly. "Like boyfriend and girlfriend?" Marcus and Willow exchanged surprised looks. "How did you know?" Willow asked. "Daddy smiles more. And he's always checking his phone when you text, and you hold hands when you think I'm not looking." Emma grinned. "I'm 7, not stupid." Marcus laughed, pulling his daughter close. "No, you're definitely not stupid. So you're okay with Willow and me dating?" Emma looked at Willow seriously. "Do you love my daddy?" "I do," Willow said honestly. "And do you like spending time with me? Really like it, not just pretending?" "Emma, spending time with you has been one of the best parts of this. You're smart and funny and kind. I really enjoy being around you." Emma nodded slowly, processing. "Okay, but you have to promise not to leave like Mommy did. I mean, I know Mommy didn't want to leave, but it still hurt. I don't want to love you and then you go away." Willow felt tears spring to her eyes. She knelt in front of Emma, taking her small hands. "Emma, I can't predict the future, but I can promise you that I care about you and your dad very much, and I'm not going anywhere by choice. I'm in this, really in this." Emma studied her, then nodded. "Okay, can you come to my school play next month? I'm playing a tree." "I wouldn't miss it for anything," Willow said, laughing through her tears. Life settled into a new rhythm. Willow started spending more time at Marcus's house, learning what it meant to be part of a family. She helped Emma with school projects, attended parent-teacher conferences with Marcus, and slowly became a fixture in their daily routine. At work, she started implementing changes inspired by Marcus. She established better family leave policies, increased wages for lower-level employees, and started a program to help employees pursue education. Her board questioned some decisions, but the company culture improved, productivity increased, and employee satisfaction soared. Marcus's friends were skeptical at first. His best friend, a fellow construction worker named Daniel, was particularly vocal. "I don't get it, man. What does she want with you? No offense, but you're worlds apart," Daniel said one day when they were working a job together. I asked myself the same thing for months, Marcus admitted. But she's genuine, Dan. She sits on my worn-out couch eating takeout, and she's happier than when I took her to that fancy fundraiser. She reads bedtime stories to Emma and helps with homework. She's not playing at anything. She's just Willow. And you're really in love with her, completely, Marcus said. She's it for me. I never thought I'd feel this way again after Jennifer, but Willow makes me believe in second chances. 6 months into their relationship, Willow invited Marcus and Emma to her penthouse for the first time. She had been hesitant, worried that seeing the full extent of her wealth would change things. But she wanted to share all parts of her life with them. Emma's eyes went wide when they entered the building and even wider when they reached the penthouse. "You live in the sky," she exclaimed, running to the windows. Marcus was quieter, taking in the expensive furnishings, the artwork, the sprawling space. Willow watched him nervously. "Say something," she finally said. "It's beautiful," Marcus said slowly, "but it doesn't feel like you." "That's because it's not," Willow admitted. "I bought this place because it was expected. Successful CEO needs an impressive home, right? But I've never felt comfortable here." "It's just a showplace." "Where do you feel comfortable?" Marcus asked. "On your couch with Emma doing her homework on the floor and you reading the paper. In your kitchen teaching Emma how to measure ingredients. At the park watching Emma play. With you," Willow said simply. Marcus crossed to her, taking her hands. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that this place, the money, the stuff, it doesn't matter. What matters is building a life with people you love. And I love you, Marcus Cooper. I love your daughter. I want to build something real with you both." "Willow, I don't have much to offer in return. I'm just a guy who works with his hands and lives in a 3-bedroom house with a mortgage. You offer me everything that matters. You offer me honesty, real connection, family. That's worth more than all of this." Willow gestured around the penthouse. They were interrupted by Emma calling them over excitedly. She had found the telescope Willow kept on the balcony and wanted to look at the stars. They spent the evening on the balcony, Emma between them, pointing out constellations. As they were leaving, Emma turned to Willow. "This is a nice place to visit, but your real home should be with us." Willow looked at Marcus, who was looking at her with such love that she felt breathless. "I think you might be right," she said. The relationship progressed steadily. They navigated challenges together. The media discovered their relationship, and for a few weeks, paparazzi followed them. Marcus hated it, especially when they tried to photograph Emma. Willow used her resources to get restraining orders, to ensure Emma's privacy was protected. Marcus's in-laws resurfaced, threatening another custody battle when they learned about Willow. They claimed Marcus was exposing Emma to an unstable lifestyle. It was Marcus's worst nightmare coming true. Willow stood by him completely. She hired the best family lawyers, helped Marcus prepare for court, and even testified on his behalf about the stable, loving home Marcus provided. Jennifer's parents claim that Emma needs stability, Willow told the judge calmly, but Emma has stability. She has a father who attends every school event, who helps with homework every night, who coaches her soccer team on weekends. She has a community that knows her and cares for her. She has love and security. That's stability. What Jennifer's parents offer is material wealth without emotional connection. They barely visited Emma until they learned about my relationship with Marcus. Their concern now seems to be more about control than about Emma's well-being. The judge ruled decisively in Marcus's favor, noting that Emma was thriving in her current environment and that there was no evidence of instability or neglect. In fact, the judge commended Marcus for his excellent parenting. After the verdict, Marcus held Willow close in the courthouse hallway. "Thank you, I could have lost her. You were never going to lose her. You're an incredible father. That was clear to anyone paying attention," Willow said firmly. "Still, having you there, having your support, it meant everything." That night, after Emma was asleep, Marcus and Willow sat on his back porch, wrapped in blankets against the cool spring air. "I've been thinking," Marcus said slowly, "about the future, about us." Willow's heart began to race. And I love you, Willow, completely, and I know Emma loves you too. You've become part of our family, part of our daily life. I can't imagine things without you anymore. He took a breath. But I also worry that I'm holding you back. You have this incredible life, this career, this world that I'm not part of. Marcus Cooper, you listen to me, Willow said firmly. My career is just what I do. You and Emma are who I am now. You're what matters. Everything else is just details. Even so, there's a reality we need to face. I work construction. You run a billion-dollar company. Those worlds don't always mesh easily. Then we make them mesh, Willow said. Marcus, I've been thinking too. About my role at the company. I have a great team. I could step back, take a less active role, be more of a board chair than a CEO, spend more time on what matters. I would never ask you to give up your career, Marcus said, looking alarmed. You're not asking. I'm choosing. Marcus, I built the company up because I needed to prove something to myself and to my father's memory, but I've done that. Now I want to build something else. A life. A family with you. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then he stood, pulling her up with him. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Willow's breath caught. This isn't some big romantic proposal, Marcus said, his voice shaking slightly. I can't afford a huge diamond or a fancy restaurant, but I love you more than I thought I could love anyone again. And I want to build that life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to navigate homework drama and school plays and teenage years together. I want to grow old with you. He opened the box to reveal a simple but beautiful ring, a small diamond on a gold band. It was my grandmother's. She and my grandfather were married for 57 years. She gave it to me before she died and told me to give it to someone who made me believe in forever. Willow Montgomery, will you marry me? Willow was crying now, happy tears streaming down her face. Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. Marcus slipped the ring on her finger and they held each other, both crying, both laughing, both overwhelmed with joy. We need to tell Emma, Willow said after a while. Tomorrow, Marcus said. Tonight, I just want to hold you and believe this is real. They told Emma the next morning over breakfast. Emma's reaction was to jump up and down, screaming with excitement, then insist on calling Mrs. Peterson immediately to share the news. Within hours, the whole neighborhood knew, and there was an impromptu celebration at Marcus's house, with neighbors bringing food and congratulations. Mrs. Peterson pulled Willow aside at one point. I had my doubts about you at first, the elderly woman admitted, but you've proven me wrong. You're good for him, good for Emma. You make them happy. They make me happy too, Willow said. They've given me something I didn't even know I was missing. Planning the wedding was an interesting experience. Willow wanted something simple and meaningful. Marcus wanted to make sure she had everything she deserved. They compromised on a ceremony in the park where they had spent their first afternoon together, followed by a reception at a nice but not ostentatious venue. Emma was involved in every decision, from picking her flower girl dress to choosing the menu. She took her role very seriously, creating detailed plans and checking things off her list with determination. She's just like you, Marcus told Willow, watching Emma reorganize the seating chart for the third time. Heaven help us if she actually is, Willow said, laughing. The wedding took place on a beautiful Saturday in early summer. The park was decorated simply with white flowers and flowing fabric. Emma walked down the aisle first, beaming with pride, scattering flower petals with careful precision. Then Willow appeared, and Marcus felt his breath catch. She wore a simple ivory dress, elegant and understated, with her hair loose around her shoulders. She was not wearing expensive jewelry or designer shoes. She was just Willow, beautiful and real and his. The ceremony was officiated by a friend of Marcus's family. The vows they exchanged were personal and heartfelt. Marcus, you taught me what really matters, Willow said, her voice strong despite her tears. You taught me that integrity and kindness are worth more than any balance sheet. You showed me what it means to be present, to show up, to love fully. You and Emma gave me a family, a real home. I promise to love you, to support you, to be there for Emma as she grows. I promise to build a life with you based on what's real, not what looks good. I promise to choose us always. Marcus's vows were equally moving. Willow, you came into my life when I had stopped believing in second chances. You saw me, really saw me, when everyone else just saw a struggling single dad. You loved Emma from the start, not as an obligation but as a choice. You've made our small world bigger and brighter. I promise to support your dreams even as we build new ones together. I promise to always see you, the real you, beyond the money and the success. I promise to love you through everything life brings. You're my forever, Willow. When they kissed, Emma cheered loudly, making everyone laugh. The reception was joyful and relaxed. Willow's business associates mixed with Marcus's construction crew friends. Mrs. Peterson gave a touching toast about watching their love story unfold. Emma gave a speech she had written herself about how happy she was to have Willow as her new mom, making there not be a dry eye in the house. During their first dance, Marcus pulled Willow close. "No regrets?" he asked softly. "Not a single one," Willow said. "This is the best decision I've ever made." "Better than that tech merger you closed last year?" "So much better," Willow laughed. After the wedding, they took a honeymoon, just a week at a beach resort where Emma could play in the sand and they could all relax together. Willow had offered something more exotic, but Marcus reminded her that building memories with Emma was more important than any fancy destination. When they returned, the real work of blending their lives began. Willow moved out of her penthouse and into Marcus's house. She sold most of her expensive furniture, keeping only a few meaningful pieces. The house was crowded with 3 of them, but it felt like home in a way the penthouse never had. She did step back at work, promoting her talented second-in-command to CEO while she took the role of board chair. It gave her the oversight she needed while freeing up time for family. She could attend Emma's soccer games, help with homework, be there for family dinners. Marcus was initially uncomfortable with not being the primary provider, but they worked through it together. Willow set up trusts and investments that ensured financial security without making Marcus feel like he was living off her money. She also invested in his dream. One evening, 6 months after the wedding, Willow presented Marcus with a gift. It was a set of high-end architectural drafting tools and a portfolio. "What's this?" Marcus asked, confused. "You gave up architecture to be there for Emma, but she's older now, more independent, and I'm here to share the load. I want you to pursue your dream again. I've arranged for you to meet with some firms, show them your portfolio. You're too talented to waste that gift." Marcus was stunned. "Willow, I'm 33. Most architects my age have years of experience. I'm starting from zero." "You're starting from love and passion and incredible talent. The rest will follow," Willow said firmly. Marcus did start designing again, first as a consultant on weekends, then taking on more projects. Within a year, he had re-established himself in the architecture community. Willow used her connections to help him get his work seen, but his talent spoke for itself. He began to thrive in a way he had not since before Jennifer's death. Emma flourished too. With 2 parents fully present and engaged, she blossomed. She joined the school debate team, started taking piano lessons, and developed a love of science. Willow helped her with projects, taking her to museums and science centers, nurturing her curiosity. One evening, about a year and a half into their marriage, Emma asked Willow a serious question. "Can I call you Mom?" Willow looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly, his eyes wet with tears. "Emma, I would be honored," Willow said, her own voice thick with emotion. "I still love my first mom," Emma said carefully. "I don't want to forget her." "You should never forget her," Willow said firmly. "She gave you life and loved you so much. I'm not trying to replace her, but I love you too, and I'm here for you. There's room in your heart for both of us." Emma nodded, satisfied, and went back to her homework. But later that night, before bed, she gave Willow a tight hug and whispered, "Good night, Mom." Willow held her close, overwhelmed with gratitude for this life she had found. 2 years into their marriage, Willow and Marcus started talking about having another child. Emma was excited about the idea of being a big sister. They approached it carefully, making sure Emma felt secure and included in the decision. When Willow found out she was pregnant, they made it a family announcement. The three of them sat together on the couch, and Marcus and Willow told Emma together. Emma's reaction was to shriek with joy, then immediately start planning. "We need to paint the nursery and get toys, and I can teach the baby things. Oh, can we name her Sophie? Or if it's a boy, maybe James." The pregnancy was smooth and joyful. Marcus was attentive and excited, Emma was helpful and engaged, and Willow felt more content than she ever had. She continued working, though at a reduced pace, and found balance in a way she never had before. Their son was born on a crisp autumn morning. They named him Matthew Charles Cooper, and Emma declared him the most perfect baby ever. Marcus held his son for the first time with tears streaming down his face. "I never thought I'd have this again. Another child, a wife I love, a complete family. We built it together," Willow said softly. "All of us." Life with a newborn was chaotic but wonderful. Emma took her big sister role seriously, helping with diaper changes and bottle feedings. Marcus managed to balance his growing architecture practice with being a present father. Willow learned to nurse while taking conference calls and discovered she could function on far less sleep than she thought. Mrs. Peterson, now in her late 80s, became an honorary grandmother to both children. She would sit in her chair holding Matthew, telling Emma stories about the old days, providing wisdom and love in equal measure. 3 years after Matthew's birth, they moved to a larger house in the same neighborhood. Willow insisted on something modest, something that felt like a home rather than a showplace. They found a perfect 4-bedroom house with a big backyard and a porch that wrapped around the side. Marcus designed the renovations himself, his first personal project in years. He created a home office for Willow, a playroom for the kids, a master suite that felt like a retreat. Every design choice reflected their family, their values, their life together. On the day they moved in, Emma, now 13 and growing into a thoughtful teenager, made a speech. "This house is special because we chose it together. It's not too big or too fancy. It's just right for us, like Goldilocks, but better because we're a real family." Willow watched her daughter speak, watched her son toddle around the new backyard, watched her husband oversee the movers with confident direction, and felt complete. That evening, after the kids were in bed, Marcus and Willow sat on their new porch, watching the sunset. "Do you ever miss it?" Marcus asked. "The penthouse, the glamorous life, the fancy restaurants?" "Never," Willow said honestly. "I was so lonely before, Marcus. I had everything and nothing at the same time. Now I have what matters." "We've built something good here," Marcus said, pulling her close. "We have," Willow agreed. "You know, I was thinking about that morning I saw you shoveling Mrs. Peterson's driveway. I was standing in my empty penthouse, feeling so disconnected from the world. And then I saw you, this man just doing something kind because it was the right thing to do. It wasn't for recognition or reward. It was just human decency. That's when I fell for you, even though I didn't know you yet. I fell for your heart." "I'm glad you did," Marcus said, "because you've given me a second chance at everything, at love, at family, at my dreams. You showed me that it's okay to want more, to reach for things I thought were out of reach." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from years of truly knowing someone. From inside, they could hear Emma reading a story to Matthew, her patient voice explaining the pictures. "That's the sound of everything we built," Willow said softly. "That's what it all means." Years continued to pass in a blur of school events, work projects, family vacations, and quiet evenings at home. Emma grew into a confident young woman, applying to colleges with plans to study environmental science. Matthew developed his father's artistic talent, filling notebooks with sketches and designs. Marcus's architecture firm grew steadily, gaining recognition for thoughtful, community-centered designs. He never forgot his roots, often taking on projects for community centers and affordable housing, using his success to give back. Willow continued to run Montgomery Enterprises as board chair, but her real passion became philanthropy. She established foundations to help single parents, to provide scholarships for working-class families, to support community development. She used her wealth to make real differences in people's lives, inspired by the man who had shown her what really mattered. On their 10th anniversary, they returned to the park where they had married. Emma was away at college, and Matthew was spending the weekend with Mrs. Peterson, who was now 93 but still sharp as a tack. 10 years, Marcus marveled. It's gone so fast. The best 10 years of my life, Willow said. They walked the paths they had walked on their first afternoon together, remembering and reflecting. You know what I think about sometimes, Marcus said. What if you had never looked out your window that morning? What if you had never walked over to talk to me? I think we would have found each other somehow, Willow said. Some things are just meant to be. You believe in fate now. Marcus teased. The hard-nosed businesswoman believes in destiny. I believe in us, Willow said simply. I believe that sometimes, if you're very lucky, you find the person who makes everything else make sense. I believe I was meant to watch you shovel that driveway, meant to see who you really are. And I believe that every choice I made after that, every step toward you, was the rightest thing I've ever done. Marcus pulled her close, kissing her deeply. I love you, Willow Cooper. Thank you for seeing me, for choosing us, for building this beautiful life. I love you too, Willow said. Thank you for teaching me what love really means. They stood together in the park as the sun set, two people from different worlds who had built a bridge between them, creating something stronger and more beautiful than either had imagined possible. Emma graduated from college and went on to graduate school, studying environmental policy. Matthew grew into a talented teenager, already being recruited by art programs. Marcus's firm became one of the most respected in the region. Willow's philanthropic work touched thousands of lives, but through all the achievements and milestones, what mattered most was the foundation they had built. The foundation of love, respect, presence, and family. They had taken two broken pieces, a lonely billionaire and a struggling single father, and created something whole. On their 20th anniversary, surrounded by their grown children and their grandchild, Emma having married and had a daughter of her own, Marcus stood to make a toast. 20 years ago, I was a man just trying to get by, trying to be a good father, trying to find meaning in simple acts of kindness. Then Willow walked into my life, this extraordinary woman who saw past everything to who I really was. She loved me, loved Emma, and helped build this beautiful family we have today. People talk about the fairy tale of Cinderella finding her prince, but our story is better because it's real. It's about two people choosing each other every single day, building a life based on what truly matters. Willow, you are still the love of my life. You are still the best decision I ever made. Willow stood, tears in her eyes, and took his hand. And you are my heart, Marcus Cooper. You taught me that the richest life isn't measured in money but in moments, in snow-covered mornings helping neighbors, in homework sessions and bedtime stories, in quiet evenings on the porch, in love that's real and lasting and true. I was lost before I found you, and I've been found ever since. Their family raised glasses, celebrating not just an anniversary but a love story that had transformed everyone it touched. Emma looked at her mother with pride, remembering the woman who had chosen to love her, who had shown her what it meant to be a mother not by blood but by choice. Matthew saw in his parents' relationship a model for what love should be. Equal, supportive, genuine. As the evening wound down and guests departed, Willow and Marcus found themselves alone on the porch again, their favorite spot, the place where so many important moments had happened. Do you remember what Emma said when we moved into this house? Marcus asked. About it being just right. I do, Willow said. She was talking about more than the house. She was talking about us, about this family, about this life, and she was right. It's all just right. Willow leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of him, the steady presence that had anchored her for 20 years. It's better than right. It's perfect. Not perfect like flawless, but perfect like it's exactly what it should be. They sat together as the stars came out, two people who had found each other against all odds, who had built something lasting and true. The billionaire who had watched a poor dad shovel snow and fallen hard for his heart. The struggling father who had learned to open himself to love again. Together, they had created not just a marriage but a masterpiece, a life rich in all the ways that truly mattered. And on that porch, under those stars, in the home they had built together, surrounded by the evidence of their love in every corner, they were content. Not because everything had been easy, but because they had faced everything together. Not because they had never struggled, but because they had chosen each other through every struggle. Not because love was simple, but because they had committed to the beautiful complexity of truly knowing and being known by another person. Their story was not the fairy tale Willow had once thought impossible. It was better. It was real. And it was theirs, built from simple acts of kindness, moments of genuine connection, and the courage to believe that sometimes, love finds you exactly when and where you need it most. The watching, the falling, the choosing, and the building had created something that would last not just their lifetimes but would echo through their children and grandchildren. A legacy of love that proved that what truly matters cannot be bought but must be built, day by day, choice by choice, heart to heart.